Hello and welcome to Global Desi Women. I'm your host, Arti Solanki, a business coach, a real estate broker at Living Large Realty, an entrepreneur, a dedicated in empowering women and entrepreneurs globally. Alongside with me, I have my incredible co-host, Bhavana Shelley, a consultant
Hello.
manager with a passion for strategy and growth. And today we have a special guest, Ruchika Behl, and she is joining us and with it's going to be an insightful conversation. So grab your cup of chai and let's get started. Ruchika, thank you so much for joining, and we really truly appreciate you coming in and giving us your time, and we look forward to getting learning all about you and also getting some inspiring tips on our health. And so we really welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Arti. Thank you, Bhavna. Totally my pleasure. I'm looking forward to this. I know we set this up a while back, so absolutely here to share whatever I can.
Yeah, and
Thank
just to
you.
let our audience know that Ruchika is a health and wellness coach, and she is trained in applied functional medicine. So we're going to learn a lot about our body today and what we need to do and what we don't need to do. So this is going to be all the ladies, come on, grab your cup of chai and paper and pen and write down the notes because this is going to be interesting. So, Ruchika, let's start with obviously, first question is how you got into this. What took you to this path?
So, like all stories, I wish it was more interesting than this, but I'll share how it all happened. I was trained in HR and I kind of worked in HR for a bit when my kids were little. And pretty much after my son was born, he's 20, almost 23 now, I decided to quit. My
Mm.
husband was in the oil and gas, and I was a trailing spouse, as I call myself. So I was globe-trotting all over the world. It's like an exciting life. But, there were parts of me, I was enjoying being a mom, but there were parts of me that would kind of feel there has to be something more than this.
Mm.
I came back to the US about 2003-ish and did some more studies in HR, but kind of realized that moving across different countries, HR was not something that was easy to pursue considering, labor laws, all of that changes literally in every country. So long story short, I kind of spent about 7, 8 years being a mom, a trailing spouse, and we were coming back to the US in 2011 on a small assignment back then, to about 13, 14 years ago now. And at that point, I decided that this would be the moment that I'm going to create a career in a suitcase. I was still a trailing spouse, and I said, what can I do that I can bring with me wherever I need to travel? Coaching kind of seemed the best option, meaning, it's easy to do from wherever you are, and it's definitely very virtual. You can kind of have a virtual practice. So that's how I kind of decided upon coaching. Then the health part was a little later. Health
Mm.
came from also with the moving. I realized that we never had pediatricians or we never had doctors who had continuity for our wellness, who kind of
Yeah.
knew us long enough. And I ended up being not only the mom, the caretaker, but also a person who maintained, who kept that history, kept what works for my kids, what my kids are sensitive to, allergies, all of that. And with that, I was always interested in cooking. At one point in my life, I wanted to be a patisserie chef, didn't become one. And that's a long story, but I did become one. But I'll save that for another day. Anyway, I was interested in food, and as kids were growing, lived in different parts of the world, in Indonesia, Middle East, and kind of realized, apart from Indian food as medicine, each culture, each place had certain foods that had
Right.
medicinal value. And
Yeah.
that kind of was going on in the background. I was getting intrigued by that conversation of what is food and what is medicine and how is food as medicine. And then the desire to kind of have a career, something that was portable, as I call it, career in a suitcase. And the third part of the story was there was many parts to it, as I said. I was very close to my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, and before I got married, he had a stroke. He was a very active person. He was a consultant till the last day. He was literally working. Last day meaning till the day he had a stroke. And after that, the next 8 years, he was just struggling. And that had brought up a lot of questions in my head at that point, that what can you do to make your lifespan match your health span, or your health span match your lifespan? And these were
Mm,
just background conversations in my head. I obviously didn't know how to put it articulately back then, as I may say it now. And I think all of these three pillars came together in me choosing what I wanted to do. I definitely wanted to be a available mom or hands-on mom, but at the same time, I didn't want to be at a point in my time as an empty nester, which I'm today, not knowing what to do with my life.
yeah, yeah. And like you said, a lot of people, like a lot of women, especially out from India, right, abroad, we all, once our kids are gone to college and that's it, then we feel like we're lost. We don't have anything. We don't have like something to look forward to do. And that's the time, especially we're looking for work that will suit our lifestyle or our, that'll work for us,
Mm-hmm.
make us happy.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways to start.
So funnily, I must add that I started working towards my empty nesting years when my younger one was in grade 2. So that's when I actually started my business. And when I told her teacher that, I'm going to be transitioning from being a stay-at-home mom to getting into education and a career. So she was like, yeah, great, awesome. I said, you know what? Because in 2023, when she's gone to college, what will I do with my time? It was 2013 back then. And she looked at me and she was like, you're thinking that far ahead right now? I said, time flies, right? It does.
You were
So,
preparing yourself way ahead of the game, huh?
I kind of knew that when it comes, it becomes hard. And what I've realized is also with the work that I do, that empty nesting, menopausal years, they all come together. And going through the hormonal changes, I can say this now. Obviously, I didn't know this 11 years ago, 12 years ago, that women are even more at a loss because there's the emptiness from this routine that you've known to be true. Then hormonally, you're going through this roller coaster of estrogen, progesterone all over. So you don't recognize who you are as a person, hormonally who you are as a person. Physical changes are happening. There's just so much happening at the same time that transition becomes overwhelming
Mm-hmm.
on so many
Yeah.
levels.
Oh,
That
yes,
is true.
absolutely. And hormones can play such a big role in our life. It's just crazy. I recently read somewhere that a woman has, from the age of 40 to, you know, s- almost 50 and 55, depending on when they have their menopause. But those years, like almost 15, 20 years, they're going through so many changes in their life that the kids and the husband and the family doesn't really understand why she's sometimes frustrated, why she's having mood swings, or why she's going crazy sometimes. But it's our body that's, it affects us as our, a day-to-day life when hormones take a big part in our, it jumps into our, and it drives us crazy sometimes. I have hot flashes all the time, and it's like they don't understand what I'm going through, but it's like, okay. Well, they do understand, but I'm like, the feeling of how we feel is just crazy. It's just crazy.
Totally. And you said that well, Arti, like so much of our life is impacted by the hormones. And I say the reverse is true as well. So much of our hormones are impacted by the life. So, what goes on in your early years from your 20s, 30s, 40s is really going to show up in your menopausal years.
Mm, yeah.
How much have you poured into yourself, into your life in those years is going to help you navigate this transition. Any woman, right? So while it's transition, but I think the resilience comes from what we do ahead of time.
Yeah. 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 So do you
No.
just to help women with their health issues, or is it both men and
I work
women?
with both, honestly. So I'm trained in functional medicine, which I don't know if you're familiar with it. Functional medicine is really looking at upstream from what's going on in the body. So let's say if somebody presents IBS, digestive issues, rather than saying, here's a pill for this ill or this is the remedy for it, you kind of look upstream to heal it at the root of it. So
So is it different than being a naturalist or a herbalist?
So these are all different words. Functional medicine also does utilize supplements. So it's looking at food, lifestyle, detoxification of the body, looking
Mm.
at certain nutritional requirements. An herbalist will work only with the herbs to support the body. So it kind of gets a limited dimension to it.
Mm.
But integrative medicine, functional medicine are looking at it from a wider lens, looking at many different dimensions, many different things that go on in the body. So just to answer your question, yes, I work with men and women both. I worked about 5, 7 years ago. My practice was mostly 35 and over. But today my practice is on a weekly basis. I at least have 5 to 6, I call them kids, but they're between the age of 17 to 25.
Mm.
Kind
So
of breaks my heart in some ways because more and more younger people are being diagnosed or going through health struggles, chronic issues. But at
mm,
the same time, it's kind of, it gives me a lot more hope that people are willing to address it. Even younger people are willing to address it. It's a longer route, it takes more work, takes more commitment and dedication, but they're willing to do it rather than putting a band-aid on it.
yeah, yeah.
So
So what are the most common health issues your client faces? Is it like a particular kind that you see a lot more than some other issues?
So I do a lot of, I have a more like a general practice. I don't have a niche practice, not because I can have one. I just don't enjoy a niche practice because at the core of it, if you think of a potted plant and the plant kind of is not thriving, you need the sunlight and you need to check the water, you need to check the soil conditions. So, the foundational stuff is similar for all human beings, but a lot of people that I work with in the younger population is PCOS, hormonal issues, digestive disorders, younger people, IBS, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis kind of thing. And then in the mid and the older population, it's all of those plus stress, anxiety,
Mm,
perimenopausal, menopausal, and a lot of diabetes, pre-diabetes, cholesterol issues, cardiovascular issues. So that's kind of broad
mm,
range that I work with. I do
right.
work a lot with immune conditions too, but yeah.
So Ruchika, do you like give out the like a meal prep or kind of a nutrition guidance, or how do you provide guidance to whoever comes to you for, say,
A
for
person
instance,
who come to me, right? So,
like a GI problem, for an example, acid reflux or whatever it may be?
again, it'll include both. It'll include food guidance as well, but
Mm,
also lifestyle. It's not just what you consume, but how you consume it. When do you eat it? Sometimes certain foods could be causing or aggravating gut issues. How do you heal the gut? So really coming to the root of healing the gut. Like today, this afternoon, I had somebody I've been working with. He has had digestive issues, acid reflux for over 20.
mm,
He was taking proton pump inhibitors like PPIs, omeprazole kind of medication to find a solution. And we only started working back in December. It's about 7 weeks right now. His reflux is down from a scale of on a 1 to 10, it was at a 10. Now he's down to 3 or 4 instances a month. So yes, I use obviously food as medicine, but then there's how you eat, when you eat, the role of sleep, how do you process stress, what relaxation methods do you have in your life,
mm,
using certain supplements to heal the gut lining in this particular situation, sometimes also replacing things like digestive enzymes, adding in probiotics. So it's a many multidimensional approach, I would say that.
mm.
Then you don't prescribe medication or anything like that, right?
No prescribed medication.
It's all food, the food and natural
But it's
things.
also supplements, it'll be things like vitamin D, magnesium.
Right.
So
It'll be supplements as well. Yes,
so
for sure.
basically improving your quality of life. What you go towards is improving quality of life, you can. Okay, good, very nice. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, what also starts happening is that over a period of time, the medications that people are taking also have certain side effects.
Side effects, yes.
So the journey doesn't start experiencing those side effects, but after taking 5 or 6 years of those, for example, if someone's taking a statin for an extended period of time, they could be facing muscle fatigue or soreness or just weakness in their legs. And that starts becoming a problem because now they don't want to move as much. They don't want to exercise as much, which starts impacting the blood glucose levels. So they start becoming pre-diabetic, diabetic. I mean, it could be connected in any way. My story, everyone's story is different, but at the root of it is that you need to change the way you eat, how you process stress, what does sleep look like in your life, how many hours, what is the quality of the sleep, what does movement look like, and then the role of toxins. Of course, digestion is important as well. A lot of times people are mildly constipated, have mild acid reflux, and they go about that for years without doing a thing about it.
So how does stress and anxiety, I mean, it's an all-time high, right? You hear about it all the time. So how do you help clients manage those? Is that also done the same way, like with the food and like how you, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So, again, the thing with stress is, of course, you have to look at sleep. Yeah, there's many other things that you look at, but also food, because you'll be surprised to hear that a lot of our neurotransmitters are something that communicate to our brain on how we feel, how we look, how we are thinking, the clarity. You may have heard of dopamine, serotonin, all of that are produced in the gut. 70% of it is produced in the gut.
yeah.
So if somebody has poor gut health, it may be looking on the surface like stress and anxiety or heightened anxiety, but it could just as well be gut issues going on that are not presenting as digestive issues.
Mm.
But
So I
again,
guess,
sorry.
yeah, no, I was going to say that I guess it's the way you would diagnose or get a full report of anybody coming to you would be I'm guessing a lot of questions about everything, like their lifestyle, their health, their problems, their work ethics, how many hours they're working or not working, or I guess in order to find the pinpoint of what the cause or problem may be, I'm sure you go through an extension of like questions.
Absolutely. So my intake forms takes about 45 minutes to fill out.
Mm.
And it's pretty detailed. And then there's a health and wellness timeline, like when did they first start experiencing those? What was life like in early years? We don't realize that, there are certain patterns and programs that get created very early on in life too. How we take care of our bodies or how we process stress or how we use food as a stress buster is defined very early on in our lives.
Yeah.
So I always tell people take out an hour to fill out the forms because the more detail you put in, the better blueprint I can create.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I
What
also
would
get to
sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
no,
sorry. Go
and also, again, even with the basic labs, like the annual labs that people get done, like it's just not the high, low, or just not talking about them when they're out of range. Even within a range, there's a thriving range. Just like Bhavana said, right? Like looking at quality of life. So when you look at a total protein number on a general basic lab that most people get done, within the reference range is also a thriving range.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
kind of look at that. Where is the person? Where are they? And what can we do next to get them within the thriving range?
Right, right, right. Now, blood sugar imbalance are often overlooked, right? So, what are some of the early warning signs, or how can people take a proactive steps to balance their sugar? Is there any tips that you can give us, or
Absolutely. I think, again, I guess your audience could be a lot of Desi women. And I would really say that, especially as women start getting in the perimenopausal years, you'll be surprised to hear how many women get pre-diabetic. They are
Mm,
surprised and they're shocked and they're like, "But my food hasn't changed and my exercise hasn't changed and I'm still exercising." And the reason is that our hormones are like a symphony. They play together, they kind of go together. When estrogen is declining, and you become more insulin resistant. A woman becomes more insulin resistant. That's just a hard fact. So what you would be eating in your 20s and 30s will no longer work for you in your 40s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one tip would be definitely looking closely at the diet. We update our wardrobes, our phones, our styles, our hairstyles, everything with every decade. But one thing we all resist is the food. We like, but I've always eaten like this. My mom always ate like this. I grew up eating this. There's a lot
Yeah.
of resistance.
Yeah.
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 While everything you're ready to throw away, and you're like, I used to wear in my 20s. I'm no longer wearing the same outfit.
And and plus, the hormone changes and you go into menopause, you also start craving a lot of sweets too. For some reason, it's just like you even though you weren't eating that much sweets, or maybe you were eating that much sweets and it didn't bother you at that time. Now you're trying to eat a little bit of sweets, and there you go. It's kind of like makes you
Yeah.
crazy.
I have a take on that one. And a lot of us try and approach, and most people that I meet, a lot of people that I meet, honestly, are very diligent about their health, because that's who comes to me, right? They're already concerned. They're proactive, generally proactive. Something
Mhm.
has now worked for them, and that's how they are in that situation. So what happens is that we think of sweet cravings as a story of willpower. We have to control it. There's a game of resistance that kind of goes on. But honestly, it's all about the gut health. When we have a healthy mix of commensal good bacteria and pathogenic bacteria in our gut, it's all
Mm.
good. The minute it gets more pathogenic bacteria or unhealthy bacteria, that's what craves sugars and the unhealthy foods and the carb rich foods. So it's no longer us, it's no longer our willpower. The trillions of this unhealthy bacteria that's sitting around, that's asking for the sweet stuff, and you can't fight it.
Yeah.
It goes back to looking at gut health again, and especially again as we go through transitions in our life. Those are important moments to tend or relook at gut health. Again, you haven't done anything about it. Definitely a good time to take care of it.
I
So
think we all are kind of like in the habit of saying, like, I'm a sweet tooth, I have to have sugar. Well, I am too. So,
The sweet too, but that doesn't mean the sweet rules me, right? Like
yeah.
it's different. I do enjoy sweet foods, and I'll be truthful about it. But again, approaching it from restriction really makes it hard, makes it like always trying to do this fight. You're
Yeah.
always looking for this cheat opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
Ruchika, how does when you suggest someone, especially they see for food changes, it's our food is full of oil and kind of like lots of salt, lots of sometimes
The spice.
sugary, and it's fried. So how do you see any resistance first of all, and what kind of food do you suggest otherwise?
So, generally, I think when people come to me, they are ready for change. Of course, I'm not saying it all is smooth flowing after that. We all go through different stages of change. Often I meet people who are in the pre-contemplation phase, where they are exploring what would change look like. And if they were to make a change, what would life look like, kind of a thing. So as a coach, so I wear two different hats, Arti. I'm trained in functional medicine, but I'm also a national board certified, which is the Medical Board of Examiners, a health coach, which means that the medical board examines you to say that I'm a certified coach to understand what it takes to make mindset and behavior change. So
Excellent.
wellness is to knowing what you need to do, knowing what you need to eat, or how you need to live your life is one part of the story. But how do you instill that change? How do you make that change sustainable and real in your life? Is the second hat that I kind of utilize in my coaching. So just going back to your question, Bhavna, yes, obviously all change is met with some resistance. I guess that's where my skill lies in cutting out the noise and kind of making it easy for people, meeting them where they are.
Mm.
If someone's already eating a type of food, I'm not going to go about change everything. That's not my approach. I use a strategy called crowding out, which is basically rather than removing your favorites, you add in the healthier options. You still eat your favorites, but you eat the healthier options. So, for example, I'm going to give a bizarre example. If you like your fried puris, you eat your puri, but with your puri, you eat a bowl of broccoli.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Make it less interesting, I guess, then.
over a period of time, also when you start flooding the body with nutrients, multiple different ways, it starts coming in balance. The harmony kind of settles in, and you no longer enjoy that afternoon slump that happens after a very carb-rich meal.
Yeah.
It does make a difference. Like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I started adding more vegetables to our diet, and it does make a difference. Like you feel that fiber in your body, and you're not craving for a lot of snacks, day
Totally.
snacks or whatever. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does make a difference.
And and the feeling, nothing feels good till you've experienced it. So I offer this 2-week program actually starting next week, Wednesday. And in 2 weeks, when you feel lighter, when you have more energy, when you're sleeping deeper, when you are having a good bowel movement every day, you're no longer a slave to your snacky habits. You have experienced what feeling good feels like.
Yeah.
No matter what I say,
So,
it's not going to be different.
Ruchika, there is always a debate about, how much water you should drink, right? It's like you should drink 1 liter of water, 2 liter of water a day. I mean, what is for an average person? Every person is different. I understand. Like, a lot of people can't retain that much water, and some people can retain a lot more water. Like, I know one of my friends, she drinks 3 liters a day. And I'm like, how do you drink 3 liters a day? I can't even finish 32 ounces in a day, and sometimes it's enough for me. And sometimes I
Yeah.
can go more, but sometimes it's enough for me. So what is your take on that drinking water?
So
Yeah, I'm the same.
I agree everyone's water intake has to be different, because in the end you're looking at hydrating a body mass, right? So rather than saying everyone do a 2 liter or everyone do a 3 liter, the real math on it is half your body weight in pounds, and that's the amount you should drink in ounces. So a 150-pound woman should be drinking 75 ounces of water. Simple math.
Wow.
And you need that water. So I'll also answer your question. Some people can hold that water, some people can't hold that water. And I'll talk about that in a second. But the response to your wow, Arti, is that we need that water. What happens is that the reason a lot of times people can't hold that water, I will go back to the example of a potted plant. If you've ever kept a plant, I know Arti gardens a bit, right? You do food gardening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if your plant's super dehydrated, if your potting soil is absolutely dehydrated, you pour the water from top and it's going to come down from the bottom.
Mhm.
So when people can't hold their water, it's often the lack of hydration in their body on a cellular level that's preventing them from getting hydrated, getting the hydration into their cells. For
Wow,
some,
this is such a great example. I can literally picture my plants doing that. And now that you said this, I like to share that I drink maybe like a glass or maybe two, maximum 3 cups a day. Like on a good day, it would be 3 cups a day. I mean, like I barely drink. I don't remember today if I even drank water.
No, that's not it. That's
I
not
don't
good.
remember. And that's what the problem is. I don't feel thirsty. I don't feel the need of, I guess. And I'm not on sodas or anything all day either. Like nothing.
yeah,
I just don't feel the need.
yeah, and sometimes it's retraining your body. Honestly, your body does need water, because at the end of it, our circulation, everything has to be moved, including our waste toxins, have to be moved out by the help of water,
Mm.
right? And what happens is, for a long time, when a person's dehydrated, our cells, imagine it to be a raisin, like a kishmish raisin, right? When it's dehydrated, it's all shriveled up. Nothing can go in and nothing can come out. So you could have a very nutrient rich diet, but nothing's going to come in. And similarly, for the toxic waste that it's creating, nothing's going to go out either.
Mm.
People look at disease as a moment in time. Any disease, it's never a moment in time. it's building up slowly.
Slowly, yeah. Yeah. Wow, I need to make a
And
habit of drinking water.
to your point that when you start drinking water, like, say you've been drinking like 1 or 2 cups a day, that's your norm. And then you say, oh, you know what? I want to be health conscious and I want to start drinking more water. You start drinking more water. And as soon as you drink water, you got to go. As soon as you drink water, you got to go. But then if you keep on continuing, then I have noticed, this is my personal experience, it does start retaining that water in your
Yeah,
body
but also I felt
because
like my sodium goes low when I do too much drinking water, then I'm going peeing it too much. And then I'm like, I
you
actually feel
gotta
dehydrated more when I'm drinking water.
So
you
that's
gotta
what I said,
continue.
because you're going to because you're not holding, your cells are so, it's so, there's no osmotic pressure for things to go in. A good tip could be, you could add like about in 2 liters of water, add a pinch of Celtic sea salt or just natural salt, or you can even buy mineral drops, which are
Mm.
basically sea minerals. Just add a little bit to it, and that helps that helps with getting the hydration into the cells. And you'll see yourself holding water, your skin will feel more energized, you will feel more energized in your brain, just more alertness. You'll keep the water. And the other tip around drinking water and holding it is, don't gulp it down, like, take small sips.
Yeah.
Mm.
If you
Yeah.
Okay.
guzzle it down, you'll find yourself needing to go to the bathroom a lot quicker, especially if there's some sort of an electrolyte imbalance going on.
Yeah. So is it a myth or is it a fact that you should be sitting down and drinking water?
I've never really delved into the science or the truth behind it, but I generally feel that food, anything while you're eating, if you sit down and consume it, you're in a better state to absorb the benefits of it. And that I can give you the science for it. I don't know the myth and science to the part, should you sit down or not sit down. Our nervous system is designed to be in 2 states. One of them is called the sympathetic dominant state, which is where we show up to a meeting like this on time at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. We'll still look our best. We are getting things done. We are in the go, 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 get things done. We are really in the performance mode. That's your sympathetic state. The other state that our body needs to be in is a parasympathetic state, which is where you rest, digest. Women who are wanting to make babies, you make babies. That's kind of your rest and digest, or the parasympathetic state. Now, unfortunately, these 2 different states are 2 different sides of the same coin. So either you can be in a parasympathetic state or a sympathetic state. You can't be in both at the same time. So if someone's running late to a meeting and putting in a breakfast bar or drinking in a smoothie, they're actually in a sympathetic state trying to rest and digest. Only one or the other can happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Makes
I
sense.
talk about this a lot to men and women who are in the reproductive years facing fertility issues, is that if you're constantly in a go, 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 getting things on the phone, it's very hard to make babies.
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody's wanting to start their health journey, right? What are the 3 small but impactful changes that they can start making from today? What are the tips that you would share with us?
Okay, so let me put it in 3 different buckets, okay? So the food bucket would be, definitely eat more veggies. If you're eating 1 cup a day, double it up to 2 cups. If you're doing 2 cups a day, make it 3 cups. But definitely increase the veggies and make them diverse. So if you ate a cauliflower yesterday, eat broccoli today. If you ate broccoli, eat beetroot. Like, really keep them diverse. Don't eat a repetitive diet. That's number 1. I would put hydration in the same food bucket. We've already discussed that. And I think, again, hydration is a non-negotiable. The second thing I would really prioritize is sleep. As a society, we have an epidemic of not wanting to sleep or not getting deep, restful sleep. Somehow, just like sitting down and eating in peace is considered a waste of time. Everybody literally wants to multitask or eat on their desk, or at least eat 1 meal a day on their desk. Similarly, just pushing bedtimes become a trend.
Mm.
And it's not just because people are busy. It's, I think, because we have entertainment on our fingertips.
A lot.
Yeah.
So I think prioritizing sleep, really having a very sacred sleep routine, can change our wellness in ways that we don't even recognize. It's damaging our health in ways we are not even acknowledging in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I said the food bucket, the lifestyle bucket, I would say the sleep part. And since you've only given me like 3 things to say, I'll say the third thing, definitely look at your vitamin D levels. You
Mm.
cannot believe we live in 2025. 5 years after the pandemic, there was so much conversation about how vitamin D is crucial for immune system, crucial for mental health, it's crucial for gut health, it's crucial for so many different biochemical processes in the body that we don't even think of. People don't measure it. A lot of doctors don't measure it as a general lab. So it's out of pocket. People don't do it. They don't ask the doctors. And they're still in like 23, 24, 35. That's what they measure at. For optimal health, long term, just like Bhavana said, really to have a quality of life for the longest time, you're going to be a grandma. You want to be in, you want to have health for as long as life is.
Absolutely.
And that's what drives me. That's what drives me every day, right? I'm not trying to be this famous health coach with millions of followers on Instagram but my idea is, what can I do every day to make a client's wellness journey simple? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a daily circus.
Mm.
So, Ruchika, when we go to the doctor and we get our labs done, right? There is nothing, it's just a normal standard lab. How do we know what we're lacking as far as the vitamins are concerned? Like you said, vitamin D. Sometimes they do put it in vitamin D and they'll give you a prescription that, you know what, you got to take vitamin D. Fine. But any other people say, take zinc, take magnesium, take this, take that. We really don't know. We could be damaging our body by putting in unnecessary vitamins just because somebody has kind of suggested, oh, you should take magnesium. What for? Are you really lacking it? And how do we know that?
So I think, Bhavna, fantastic point. I think again, health is important, and you don't uh, take that advice from somebody who's not trained to give you that advice. I would definitely not take from anybody just like that. So the unfortunate part about going to a regular medical system becomes is that they have about 5 minutes with you
Or even less.
or less. So what they look at is, are you within range or out of range? And this is you both moms. So this is how I'm going to explain to you. When your kids are in school, your kid has an A plus potential or an A minus potential or whatever your kid's potential is. And your kid is, let's say, at a B minus. You would want your teacher to tell you that, hey, listen, something has shifted, not wait for you to come to realize that your child is failing.
Mm.
And that's what labs are. Within the reference range, there's a thriving range before it's out of range.
Yeah.
And often the conversation, just because how the insurance and the system is built, unfortunately, people say it's a healthcare, it's a sick care model, where when people are sick, this model is designed, will shine, will save lives. But it's not designed to create health and wellness.
Mm. Yeah.
The doctors are not trained in nutrition. And again, full due respect to every practitioner, most of them are not trained in nutrition. And it's not their fault. That's not who they are. That's not what they're supposed to do. Another analogy would be, if you go to your hairdresser who you see using scissors and shears and cutting your hair beautifully, you can't take your outfit and say, hey, can you alter this or can you cut this for me, because you know how to use scissors.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different skill.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
So true. So true. This has been such an amazing, and we'll definitely share all your contact information in our podcast description. So if any of our audience wants to get connected to Ruchika, we'll have her, social media handles, her website, and all the details so that they can contact Ruchika. And Ruchika, I really appreciate you joining us. And I'm sure our audience, our listeners also enjoyed this episode as much as we did. And I definitely need to drink more water. So
Sit
I
down and
just
drink
so
more water.
I definitely want to do that. I mean, I've tried a couple of times, but like I said, it's like every time I've tried, I felt like I was dehydrating more than I need, so it's never worked, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a shot one more time just because you told me to. I'm going to do it. But thank you so much for joining. And to our audiences, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review. If you have a question to ask, send those in. So we'd be happy to answer those. And if there's something that Ruchika needs to answer, we'll definitely get her to answer all your questions. And stay tuned for our next episode on Global Desi Women, and where we continue to inspire, empower, and uplift each other. Until next time, stay healthy, stay motivated, and keep taking care of your body, yourself. Be kind to yourself and others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavna.
Thank
Good
you,
to see you
Ruchika.
both.